How is everybody doing? How is everybody? So, today I wanted to address a matter of something that has been ongoing in South Africa for the past couple of months that has really upset me and infuriated me, to say the least. President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced on the 10th of June of 2025 that there will going to be something that he calls the National Dialogue, which, as far as I understand, has began with some provincial conventions taking place in various areas in South Africa, and it will culminate with this summit that's going to happen some months from now. I don't know when. This is how he announced it. Issued a written statement by the presidency on the 10th of June 2025, where he said, "Today I wish to address you about the National Dialogue, an initiative that has been in discussion by a number of leaders in our country and many other people for some time now. This initiative has been gathering great support and enthusiasm since it was proposed last year. It has been endorsed by a wide range of formations across society. Over the last few months, we have been engaged in discussions with various entities on the purpose and the form of the National Dialogue. In the work of these consultations, there is broad agreement that given the challenges of our country is facing at the moment, we should convene the National Dialogue. The idea of holding a dialogue is not a new concept in our country. In many ways, having dialogue is part of the DNA of our nation. At every important moment in the history of our country, we have come together as a nation to confront our challenges and forge a path into the future in dialogue with one another. Through dialogue, we were able to deal with the challenges that the apartheid system caused in our country and achieve peace and overcome violence. We established democracy and end apartheid. Following the negotiation process, we used dialogue to start building a united nation where once there had been conflict and division. It go on and go on and go on and go on. It go on. It's very, very, very long. You see, folks, when I first heard this, I was pissed. I was very pissed. Very, very, very pissed. Because someone will ask me, why are you pissed? Don't you want dialogue? Don't you believe in the value of having dialogue to discuss important issues and important matters that affect our nation? Organizations as well tend to have dialogue to discuss important challenges. And for me, the reason why I was pissed, it's because I know that this dialogue, firstly, let's start by saying that, okay, everybody knows the challenges that South Africa is facing. And if people didn't know of the dire straits of the country, people wouldn't have approached the president proposing this dialogue. And when I'm talking about people, I'm talking about these rich NGOs that are ran by white South Africans, the Helen Suzman Foundation, the F.W. de Klerk Foundation, all of these foundations who have a direct line to the president. These are the people who propose this notion, and some of them obviously are black foundations, and when you have these kind of like stupid ideas, best believe that some foundation came up with it. A lot of these foundations, they are not doing anything other than they raise millions of dollars a year, sometimes billions, and all they engage in is talk and talk and talk. That's all they do. But that's not something new, and that's not unique to South Africa. That happens also everywhere in the world. Organizations in the United States raise millions and billions of dollars every year, and all they do is talk, 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 produce documents, produce white papers, and all kinds of crap. But for me, what upset me the most is that I knew that, knowing the challenges that we're facing, you need to go back to the video that I've made, the past video, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I'm going to link the videos that I've made about South Africa going to be a failed state, which at this current juncture, I said that it's a guarantee that South Africa will be a failed state. There's no avoiding it. And part of the calculus that goes into me saying that South Africa will be a failed state, it's because our government, instead of doing the things that need to be done to solve the issues that are facing our country, the only thing that they are doing is spending millions of rands on meaningless dialogues. And this is the only action that they've taken to address anything that we are dealing with. And then they're going to disappear again for a couple of years. And then in a couple of years, they're going to talk about it. They're going to propose another summit or another conference. But some of you might think that, why don't you just give him a chance? Firstly, how am I going to give him a chance? This man is in his second term as a president. If he doesn't know what he is supposed to do as a president to reduce our unemployment, to reduce crime in this country, to reduce violence, to build infrastructure, if he doesn't know what is supposed to happen, then he is supposed to hand in his resignation. He is not supposed to call us to some meaningless bullshit dialogue. That's all there is to it. But if you're one of the people who won't be convinced by that take, I'll say to you, in 2018, Cyril Ramaphosa, this current president, he was president at the time, called a summit, which at the time he titled it the Jobs Summit, where also at the time the idea of this, I'm just going to play some of what he said at the time
Our most grave and most pressing challenge
when he was calling this summit, this job
we
summit.
continue to draw these young people in far greater numbers.
Sorry. This was in 2018 when he called this so-called job summit. This is why I need people to understand that we've been here before. We've been here before. This is all he knows what to do. Call meetings and let's talk, book expensive hotels in Johannesburg, have nice food and nice alcohol, have lengthy talks, and then go home, then nothing happens. This is what he said in 2018 when he was calling, or when he was justifying the need for his so-called jobs summit. Listen.
Pressing challenge is youth unemployment. We continue to draw these young people in far greater numbers into productive economic activity through programs such as the Employment Tax Initiative, working in partnership with business organized labor, and community representatives, we are creating opportunities for young people to be exposed to the world of work through internships, through apprenticeships, through mentorships, and through entrepreneurship programs as well.
That was in 2018. He further said the following in Parliament with regards to that so-called bullshit job summit of his.
Steps and measures to involve our young people in economic activity, because it is there that we face a great challenge with regard to unemployment. Young South Africans will be moved to the center of our economic agenda. They are already forming a greater proportion of the labor force on our infrastructure projects and are the primary beneficiaries of programs such as the installation of solar water heaters and the war on leaks.
2018. That was 8 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. 8 years ago. And he made a promise in 2018 that this job summit, whatever plan of his, is going to add 275,000 jobs every year. That never happened. The South African economy has not even added more than 20,000 jobs every year. Instead, the South African economy since 2018 has year on year lost like shared jobs. In 2019, he then further made a promise that they are going to create 2 million jobs. That never happened. It never happened. I want to read to you a bit of what he said at the opening of what is called the Presidential Jobs Summit, which was held at Gallagher Estate, Johannesburg. Fellow South Africans, we gather here today to answer the call of the people of South Africa for decent work. We have gathered here as social partners, having agreed on a broad range of measures to create and protect jobs. Unemployment is the great challenge facing our country at this moment in its history. Unemployment diminishes our ability to eradicate poverty, tackle inequality, and improve the lives of the working class and poor. Then he went on and on and on and on, talking about the impacts of unemployment. On and on and on. And then I'm going to read on the section where he said, in the National Development Plan, we said that if we were to effectively and substantively tackle this triple challenge, we should aim to reduce unemployment to at least 6% by 2030. That's never going to happen. Not with this government. We need to acknowledge that we will not be able to reach the target unless we do something extraordinary. Okay, that's what he admitted in 2018, folks. Since the announcement of the Jobs Summit in the State of the Nation address in February, all social partners have been engaged in intensive discussions to craft an agreement to begin to address this crisis. In 2018, in response to the crisis of high, unacceptable unemployment in South Africa, what he did, he initiated a discussion which culminated in a conference or a summit in October of 2018, where they sat around and talked and had nice expensive food and had nice expensive alcohol at Gallagher Estate, one of the premier conference venues in the world. Talked and talked, stroked each other's egos, imagined that they were doing something meaningful, and then they all went home. This is what we're dealing with, folks. He further said the Job Summit is not a once-off event, but the first phase of an extensive process in which all social partners will work closely together to improve growth, protect existing jobs, and create new jobs. The framework agreement makes provision for monitoring mechanisms, including Presidential Jobs Committee, which I have dubbed the Presidential Jobs Brains Trust, to ensure effective implementation of the measures to which we have agreed. I'm pretty sure they formed that committee, the Jobs Committee. Oh, they are very good at forming committees and forming working groups and forming whatever. Like, when it comes to that, they're very good at that. Very good at that. When it comes to results, no, 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 no. This was 2018, folks. 2018. And I remember vividly when this job summit was announced in 2018. I was in Cape Town. I remember very well where I was. I was not happy about it. But at the time, I thought, okay, here is a man, he's just became president to finish the last year in the Zuma presidency. Maybe what he wants to do is to just start by having a conversation to solicit other solutions from other people so that he can put a solution together, a policy solution together, so that maybe going forward we can make plans and actually take action. I thought that maybe let me not judge him harshly. This is his first year as president. But already I was not happy because I've never seen anything that has ever been done by committee. You just have to look at Donald Trump. I don't care how you feel about him. I don't care whether you hate him. I don't care whether you think he's a white supremacist and all of that crap. You can take all of that, and I don't care. The guy is producing results. He is not governing by committee. He is not calling endless meetings. He is producing results. That is what needs to be done. Produce results. Furthermore, to explain to you why this national dialogue thing pissed me off so much, is because in 2020, President Cyril Ramaphosa unveiled another plan that he said it's a $100 billion rand fund to create jobs. It didn't happen. When I'm saying it didn't happen, I mean that jobs were not created. I'm sure some 100 billion rands was put aside for whatever. They probably chowed it or did something. They created jobs and committees and paid each other salaries for that. Jobs were not created. This is the kind of crap we are dealing with, folks. This is the kind of crap we are dealing with. It didn't end there. In 2022, there was something called the Investment Conference. You remember that? The South African Investment Conference. And it turns out that I wasn't aware that this investment conference was actually its fourth installation, meaning that the ANC government had in the past had already had three installations of such meaningless conferences, where again they gathered people together in some conference place somewhere in a nice hotel somewhere in Johannesburg, talked a big deal about stuff, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Let me play some of that, folks. South Africa is one of the most sophisticated. This is 2022. And promising emerging markets globally, and the economy is steadily recovering since the COVID-19 crisis. The Presidential Investment Mobilization Drive, announced in 2018,
was targeted to attract 1.2 trillion rand in new investment within 5 years. The pledges received since inception have come from big and small business alike and have amounted to roughly two-thirds of the investment drive target. To date, some 40% of the pledged investments have already been realized. And of the 152 investment announcements previously made, 46 projects have already been completed. 57 of the projects are cut.
Okay. So this so-called investment conference is actually where they meet with business leaders, investors, and then they get some pledges that people are going to invest. The problem with this, because I remember it was a big. These things are such a big deal in South Africa because people want to be invited to these things so they can go there and feel important. And one of the reasons why business people attend these conferences is for the purposes of networking, but also it's for the purposes of getting to know government power brokers so that they're going to be able to have access to large government contracts. That's why business people attend these events. They don't attend them because they think that these events are going to produce anything. They attend them because they know that there's a benefit in attending them in terms of for networking purposes, first and foremost. And secondly, when you need approvals for certain contracts that you are doing down the line, it is very helpful when you know the government people, you have their names and numbers, you are actually on a first name basis with them. It's very helpful. That stuff gets done everywhere in the world. Business people will attend some of the most meaningless meetings that are called by government if they know that attending those meetings will result in them being in a better position for business later. Even if they can go there, make meaningless commitments about whatever investment, because investment does not work like with people making pledges. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. Especially pledges that don't have any enforcement mechanisms. This is in 2022. They had another investment conference in 2023. Folks, if these investment conferences were effective, we would have seen the impact in job creation happening in the subsequent years after that. Instead, what we've seen a trend of divestment happening outside of South Africa. In a video that I did yesterday, I think, I listed a number of international companies that have been actively divesting from South Africa. So I'm saying if these talk shops were effective to bring investment to South Africa and to bring jobs to South Africa, to reduce the main issue that we are dealing with in South Africa, which is the issue of joblessness, then we would have seen the results from 2018. But that's not really what brings the results now, is it? What brings results is action. Action. Not talk, not dialogue, not discussions, action. I saw that speech here by President Cyril Ramaphosa at the end of the closing remarks at the fourth South African Investment Conference, which was in March 2022. Folks, he says, we have come to the end of another successful South African Investment Conference. Ooh, Jehovah. This was in 2022. It is a success that we relish all the more because it is taking place in the midst of a global pandemic that has dampened the global investment climate for 2 years. I am greatly energized by the enthusiasm and optimism of the investors and business leaders that have spoken in the plenary and the breakaway rooms. Here's the thing that happens in these investment conferences. They get all these power brokers in terms of all the rich people in South Africa, the people who own companies. And then they come and then they talk, then they promise the government all kinds of promises that they never like. Because investors are not stupid. Investors invest in response to an environment that is conducive to them investing. They don't invest because you call them to a nice hotel and then you gave them some nice food and then you talk them up. At the end of the day, what matters for investors and business people is that when the rubber hits the road, will they get money back when they put investment into South Africa? Will they get a great return? And the answer at this moment is that no, they will not. Which is why they're not investing. And then he talked about the 80 investment pledges that were given in that conference to the tune of 332 billion rand. 332 billion rand. Imagine. And it's very likely that the cost of that conference was more than 500 billion. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe let's just say 500 million, the cost of that conference, only to get pledges totaling 332 billion. 332 billion rand is not even sufficient for infrastructure investment in South Africa. I did a couple of videos, which you need to go back and look in terms of, because I told you that criticism is a cheap skill. Critics, everyone has criticism, like everyone has a, you know what. What's important is what are the policy actions that you actually support, that you put into action if you were in power. And I did a couple of videos suggesting several clear policy actions that I would take if I were to be in government, which obviously would never happen, that will create more than, let's just say, 300,000 jobs. Clear policy, not pie in the sky BS and like cross your fingers, hope to God. Clear policy actions that actually have quantifiable job creation. Some of the sponsors of these conferences, like Anglo American, Nespers, Vodacom, Cyril, South African Breweries, Huawei, Discovery, business will sponsor these conferences because they want to carry favor with the government. But at the end of the day, is that this was in 2022. The year after that, the South African economy did not create jobs. Instead, it bled jobs. The following year, the South African economy didn't create jobs. It bled jobs even more. And which is 2023, 2024, 2025. The South African economy is still bleeding jobs. And then come 2025, Cyril Ramaphosa once again calls all of us and says, we need to have a national dialogue. This is the particular context in which I am particularly pissed about this national dialogue. When this national dialogue was started in a couple of days ago, from what I understand, he made, these are some of the comments that he made. I want you to keep in mind some of the comments that he made in 2018 Job Summit, comments that he made in this bullshit investment conferences 2022, 2023. Just listen to what he was saying here. Sorry, I think I'm having the wrong video. I'm having the wrong video. think so. Yeah, but I wanted to say now, knowing what we know, that this man has been in power for 8 years, this man has been calling conferences almost every year saying we need to talk, we need to talk. It hasn't done anything for us. Unemployment has instead gone up and up. In terms of nothing has happened. Should he really be calling any summit or dialogue, or should he be just sending in, submitting his resignation? What do you think would be the most sensible thing for him to do? Calling summits, dialogues, or submitting his resignation? Because when this thing was first announced, I mean, I suppose it was announced in June. I didn't realize that it would start so soon. I normally have a conversation with a friend of mine about the problems that face South Africa. I'm a conservative. He's more of a liberal, in terms of fiscally liberal. I'm fiscally conservative, and we, even though me and him have different views about how the economy is supposed to be governed, but we're both in agreement to say to South African government, do something, anything, just do something. Like, because these people, they are not even trying. They are not attempting anything. They're not attempting to pass any bills that are supposed to help the economy. They are not trying anything. Even with this issue of the fight between South Africa and the United States with regards to trade disputes and tariffs. Try something. Anything, damn it. Just try something. That's really, for me, the issue that just really, really, really frustrates me. Because they're going to have this so-called national. I can't find this video for Ramaphosa. Let's find it. Like, I thought I had queued all the videos. They're going to have this national dialogue or whatnot. And then nothing is going to change. I know that nothing is going to change because we've had this guy for 8 years and he hasn't done anything. And it doesn't seem like he's interested to do anything. Anything at all. Jeez, my goodness. Yeah, so that's really where we are, as a country. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these morons, um, who who have no idea what they're doing. And for me, folks, I don't suffer fools very well. I don't suffer fools, and this is foolish. Yeah, and it upsets me. It pisses me off, and yeah, I am very afraid about the future of South Africa. As I've already said in the prior video, that South Africa is definitely going to become a failed state. I am very, very afraid. Very, very afraid. Yeah. So they're gonna meet in some nice hotel and conference center. They're gonna have a good couple of days, have some good food and some good experiences. They're gonna take some nice photos and videos for social media and for YouTube and for TV channels. They're going to be going around on SABC and ENCA and whatever, talking this thing up and talking about how it's going to do some meaningful impact for the country, and then it's going to come to an end, and then they're going to go back home to doing nothing. Yep, yep, yep. So this is not being a doomsday preacher or being a doomsday person when it comes to this particular thing. It's something that comes from what we have observed. We have gone down this path before. We know where this path is leading us. We know where it ends. And it doesn't end well for South Africans. And for me, for the life of me, it baffles me when people seek public service and they have no idea what they want to do for the people. It's the same thing that we see in California. These people have been governing that state for 50 years and they have no idea what they are doing. They have no idea what they are doing. I always tell my friends that that the Democratic Party and the ANC are one and the same thing. Same WhatsApp group when it comes to incompetence, same WhatsApp group when it comes to insisting on running for power when you have no idea what you are doing. It's a sad thing. It's a very, very sad thing. But anyways, cheers folks. I'll see you on the next one. I'm sorry this video has been much longer than most of our videos. But obviously, for obvious reasons, this is a very important topic. Yeah. Have a good one. Cheers.